A can mean different things, depending on when you say it, where you say it, but also how you say it. That's what we're going to look at today. We'll see that A can be pronounced in different ways. But of course, when we write it, there's no way to hear the pronunciation. So we sometimes find A followed by a question mark or an exclamation mark. That indicates not only the meaning it has, but also its intonation. Sort of like when you say this sentence, you have a new dog. You can use it to give a statement, as in, you have a new dog. Or you can ask a question with it. You have a new dog? And you can also use it to express your surprise. You have a new dog. When we speak, these forms differ in terms of their intonation. But when we write, we indicate this with a period, a question mark, or an exclamation mark. And you can do the same thing with A. A serves to turn a statement into a question, a request for confirmation more precisely. So when I say, "It's cold here, eh?" I want to know whether you agree with me. When I say, "You've got a new dog, eh?" I want to know whether it's true that you have a new dog. And when I exclaim, "What a nice day, eh?" I want to know whether you might also exclaim the same thing. In such contexts, A has rising intonation. We can see this by looking at the pitch tracing in a spectrogram. A spectrograph does the same thing as a prism does to light. It breaks down the waves, and when we do that, we can pick up the pitch and so make intonation visible. So what we see here is that the pitch goes up at the end of the sentence. And here we have an A at the end of a sentence. So A itself carries the same kind of intonation as an entire sentence can, as you can see here. For the example, "Do you have a new dog?" Same thing, the intonation goes up. Now, Canadian English has a unique use of A, called the narrative A. It is used in stories and doesn't make what you're saying into a question. And so it's not surprising that it has a different intonation. It doesn't go nearly up as much as the one that turns a statement into a question. And notice also that it's not followed by a question mark when we write it. Instead, it's followed by a comma. Commas are usually accompanied by some kind of rise, but that's a different story. So the Canadian narrative A differs from the Canadian confirmational A in both its function and its intonation. Now, if you ever talk to a New Zealander, you may have noticed their A. You may be surprised, but there are several studies on New Zealand A, and what they find is that New Zealand A is pronounced with a falling intonation. So New Zealand A differs from Canadian A not only in its function but also in its intonation. Now I don't know what punctuation New Zealanders prefer after their A's, and if their sentence intonation also differs. But next time you talk to a New Zealander, you may want to pay attention to the way they use A.